Good morning, everyone, and how are you all doing out there? All right, I'm looking at the numbers right up here, and it says there's 8 people in here watching. Hey, everyone, let's get over to the comments and see who came in first and who all's making comments and who is lurking. And so, first one in was Walt Rogers. And thank you, Walt, for putting this up here. And I went ahead and posted it on the top of the chat there. Yep, it's subscribing to the channel is free. All you got to do is just hit subscribe and click the notification bell so you get notified whenever I'm posting a live or any other video. And you don't have to watch it; you just get a notification that you know about it. All right. Next one in was Jabber the Prepper. Then let's see, chit chat now. Super Scout came in, and they were all just chatting back and forth there, saying hi to each other and talking about yesterday's live stream and some of the how intense it was getting in there, and it got pretty intense there at the end. All right, so let me get a little go-go juice here. Yeah. All right. Oh, we got a couple more just came in. Welcome. All righty. So let's get the things changed up here. Go down to my controls, make sure I get everything up here. There we go. And I'm going to move me up to this corner up here. And so, whoop, there we go. All right, this is where we ended with the end of this chapter here. And what was that? Who was speaking? Oh, that was on the conference call, and those in Idaho found out about the book of interrogations and lamentations from at the end there, and who Commander Smythe's Ladies of Hell are. Alrighty, so let's get here, and so I'm going to unhighlight all this. I highlighted all this because I just want to make sure I knew exactly where I stopped at, so I picked up in the same spot. And no color. There we go. All righty. So, I got some more notifications popping up here. Get off in front of my screen here. There we go. Yeah. I like the way Chrome follows instructions. It says, you don't want, if you're going on a live and you're sharing screen, you click, don't show notifications. What does it do? We're hiding a notification for you. You're supposed to be hiding that too. I don't need to have it pop up there. Oh, we're hiding a notification because you don't want to see anything. Yeah. All righty. So let's get at this here. Chapter 8, Friday. Wash, rinse, and repeat. October 30th, 2037. Oh, and I did fix something on here, so I'm going to go back and show you guys something I fixed. We're going to go back up here so I can show you, so I can help explain some stuff. Back up to the beginning, and I brought it in. I brought in the, I forgot to put it on the beginning of this novel, but it's in the book 1. It's also in book 1 and 2 of Against the Wind. So the world has survived. Introduction. The world has survived many disasters over its existence. Some have been called extinction events. Others had cataclysmic. In the theory of the multiverse, these events can cause, and some believe they have caused, splitting of timelines or the creation of alternate dimensions or universes. Sometimes these events cause a single split, other times multiple splits. Some believe that people's visions are glimpses of these other timelines, and others believe that that some novelists somehow tap into these timelines for inspirations for their stories. Some believe that some stories are a history of certain events from other timelines or dimensions. Let me put that in. Yeah. Some people, including a few scientists, believe that we might one day be able to travel between timelines or dimensions. However, the implications of that theory gives me headaches, and the conversation on that would take years and volumes enough to fill libraries. It is enough to say that the that the Against the Wind Saga stories take place in such a timeline split alternate universe. Ground rules. For most of us, if we were to shift between our current timeline and the ATWS timeline, we would not notice many differences, if any. Others would spot the differences that would stand out like Rudolph's green nose. With this in mind, remember that some businesses and organizations may have different names or responsibilities or organizational structures. Some persons might be born years or decades before or after they are born here. Some die younger while others live much longer. They may marry different people or the same as we know in our timeline. Whatever the reason, don't get mired in thinking that things have to happen the way they are in this timeline. The same single word can inspire one person or demoralize another. Warning: special powers may or may not exist in different dimensional timelines. Okay, so now let's come back down here to 8. And we're back at 8. Here's where we're going to start off with. All right. Well, I've been noticing those that are lurking. Excuse me. Pop in and out constantly. And so I know people are coming in looking and not even saying hi. So let me go ahead and throw another banner up here. There we go. And I'm going to change something else here too. I'm going to try to hide. Come on. Collapse ribbon. There we go. Brings us up a little bit more. So I can put the up here and you can see everything still. All right. This morning they received confirmation that 2 groups of heaven's devils were coming. Gray clouds had blanketed the sky for the past 2 hours, and a lightning storm could be seen off to the north about 30 miles or so, right where the 2 groups of heaven's devils had to drive through on U.S. Route 89 from Page. The lightning flashes were going off every 60 to 90 seconds. The thunderhead was getting closer now, and the thunder could be heard clearly. According to the spotters, the 2 groups were maintaining the speed limit. Maintaining the speed limit and were maintaining the pace that had kept them about 35 minutes apart. Hang on, and thus, THUS, and thus maintaining a pace that kept them about 35 minutes apart. There we go. The first group, which had a lot more trucks, was sent down Ryan Road, aka Forest Service Road 22, by a construction flagman who told them that a meteor hit the embankment and knocked several feet of dirt on and a dozen trees onto the highway. It would take 2 or 3 more days to clear and repair the highway. By the time the second group had arrived, let me go ahead and take that comma out. Arrived, comma was in. Had arrived, they had changed the roadblock around, and the main highway the main highway was open and Ryan Road was closed. The second group was led by 200 motorcycles, then 3 pickups. Next were 2 Class A RVs, 8 unmarked semis with 53-foot trailers, 2 of which were refrigerator trailers, a tanker truck with a trailer, 2 fifth-wheel toy haulers. Hang on. I need to clarify something right here. I need to add in here 2. C-5500 PICK pickup. Okay. 2 C-5500 pickups with fifth wheel toy haulers. That was followed by another 150 of the gang's motorcycles. About half are riding double. About half are riding double. Kimberly eyed the intersection of Forest Service Road 461 and Ryan Road, aka Ford Service Road 22. The bikers were walking around looking dumbfounded at the crater in the middle of the intersection. There was no way for them to get the four semis with their 53-foot trailers or the gas tanker around it. From Ryan Road onto 461 or to continue down Ryan Road. They could get some of the motorcycles by, and they might be able to get the pickups, but that would be it. They would need it. They could take a couple days to fill it in, which is what she and Michael were hoping they would try to do. That would leave them open for a night attack, and they could reduce their numbers by 2/3 easily. Then they could hit them again in the morning and wipe them out. Hang on, wipe them out without risk to the supplies they carried. Yeah. And 5. Mm-hmm. Well, we got a couple people in here just lurking, so hey guys, go ahead and say hi. If you're not subscribed to the channel, if you just click subscribe, in 5 minutes you can say hi. We do that to keep the trolls out, because the trolls don't want to survive and leave a footprint. I mean, subscribe and leave a footprint. All right. Then they did the one thing that she hoped they wouldn't do. They started to back up the semi trucks and trailers up the started to back. Hang on, let me switch this around. I don't like that there. Sometimes when I get typing fast, I don't do structure. I just put the words in there knowing I'm going to come back later and correct structure. Okay, now to back up the semi trucks and trailers down the road to the turnout 2 miles back. Cap, Master Sergeant Peyton Grimm radioed. Hang on, I need to clarify something here. AKA Veston Hunter. They're trying to back up. Copy that, Veston Hunter. Red Assassin, let him get 50 yards, then your team starts sniping the bike riders. Captain Larry Robinson said. Green Archer and team in position, Michael said. Left-hand team ready. Cable 1 is up, Jake Jefferson reported. Cable 2 is up, George Patterson said with a chuckle. Remember, only archers or sure shot shoots near the tanker. Just then, a loud rolling thunder occurred. I don't like the word occurred. Hang on. And let me make sure I spelled this right. Shift F7. Nope, I didn't. I keep, so it's 1S, that's right. There we go. All right. Just then, a loud rolling thunder traversed the desert sky, and Kimberly smiled. She knew it wasn't thunder, but claymores back on ROU, back on Route 89. They waited and watched as the rear semi tried to back up. 3 times he started to jackknife the trailer. When he was finally at the 50-yard mark and the trailer was jackknifing again, Peyton fired 2 shots from his suppressed M16. The shot spiderwebbed the windshield of the semi-truck, causing the inexperienced driver to momentarily goose the accelerator, causing the truck to fully jackknife and block the road. Seeing Peyton's shots, Kimberly immediately turned her attention to the bikers by the crater and started sniping them. The 5 others on her team began sniping the bikers as soon as she fired her first shot. They were targeting the drivers of the pickups closest to the crater. They were targeting the drivers of the pickups closest to the crater. Larry's team of 5 opened up on the bikers near the middle of the convoy. Peyton's team of 5 opened on the rear of the convoy. Michael's 8 archers opened up on any biker near the fuel tanker. Michael put an arrow in the head of the tanker driver. By the time the bikers realized they were under attack, everyone had gotten off at least 4 kill shots, except for most of the archers, who'd gotten off 2 or 3 shots. Hang on, and I'll put but Michael having gotten off 6. At this point, there were only 73 bikers left. Then 46, then 27. Some of the bikers were scrambling for covers. Others were choosing to stand and fight an enemy they did not see and whose weapons they did not hear. The 11 that stood up to fight died in the next 3 seconds. Cut down by multiple shots. Cut down by multiple. Let me see. I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Cut down by multiple shots. Hang on. Let me get some water in here. The furnace decided to come on here, and it's got blowing hot air on me, so I want to stay cool. Problem is the temperature here right now is dropping for some stupid reason. Oh, that's right. We got a windstorm blowing out there, and what's it showing here at? Let me refresh on this. I'm looking at the weather for you guys. So right now we're getting gusts as high as 48 miles an hour. Temperatures are the high today, which isn't supposed to hit for another 6 hours, is 41. And with the wind blowing, the temperatures are actually dropping. Alrighty, so let's get back to the story here. All right. Multiple shots. Everyone cease fire, Larry ordered over their radios. Moans of the few wounded bikers drifted through the trees, followed by others calling the names of friends or leaders to see if they were still alive. I have 3 that I have clear target acquisition on. Hang on. Kimberly said, come on. And this one here needs to be. They look like lower. Level members, members, members. Take them, Red Assassin, Larry said. Kimberly double tapped the three hiding under the pickup in front of the fuel tanker. As she shot the third one, a fourth ran from the back of the pickup towards the tanker. He reached the front fender when three arrows found their mark and brought him down. This is Veston Hunter. I have acquisition of two heads and a foot, Peyton said. With a chuckle. Hang on, that's not supposed to be capitalized. Lowercase, there we go. Take the foot first, Larry chuckled. A scream came from under one of the semis, followed by, "They shot my foot off!" The owner of the foot rolled in pain. Unfortunately, in doing so, he exposed his head to Peyton, and his head exploded, followed by the other two hiding under the semi-truck. A biker that was hiding under the cab of the fuel truck rolled out on the far side of the truck and scrambled for the berm. And as he reached it, 6 arrows rained down on him. "I want to surrender," came a cry from somewhere on the road. "Then stand up and put your hands above your head," Larry yelled. A pair of hands rose from behind a pickup from the far side of one of the semis. "I want to surrender also." Hang on, let me do this here. "Me too," another set of hands came up. "Walk to the front of your convoy and stop by the hole in the road." "No," a fourth voice screamed. "We do not surrender." A big wounded biker stood up and shot one of the two by the pickup. His gun went off a half second before his head exploded. The bikers that were trying to surrender froze, hunched over. "Keep walking," Larry shouted. The two bikers walked to the crater and stopped. Anyone else wants to live? This is your last chance to surrender." There was no answer. Veston Hunter, have your team Veston team, have your team, Veston Hunter, have your team begin the sweep, Larry said over the radio. 10 minutes later, the sweep was complete. No other bikers were alive. Benjamin and Harvey backed up dump trailers to the crater and filled it in with dirt. Hang on, I need to add something here real quick here. I got to bring up some information here, Scout. The Ninja. Whoa, I hear thunder. All right, let's see. Clarks, what do we got for the Clarks? Clarks have it. I want to see which one they're going to bring down here. They bring down these. Control C, drop that down. They are the Clarks. Control V. There we go. Up. Yep, and began. Okay, I am hearing some interesting stuff. Um, I got to go check something really quick outside, see what's going on. I'll be right back. Don't go away. So, hang on, let me scroll this up here. That way you guys can read a little bit more there while I take off and get back in here. All righty, let's switch that back to that one there. There we go. And yeah, all right. So I figured out what's going on out there. Really interesting. All right. So when I look out the back door, I can see several miles of the railroad track. And what's going on is there is a slow rolling freight train going by. I mean, I say slow, I mean it's rolling about 8, 10 miles an hour slow, and it's slowing down. So the cars are going come on, as bouncing as it slows down and doing its thing. That's what it sounds like in here as thunder, because it's a deep thud as they're hitting together. And it is slow rolling. I can't see the end of it, and the front has already gone by, so I can't see the front of it. So I'm saying that's at least a 3 mile long train that's slowly going by, and it's slowing down even more. All right, let me do something here. There we go. I'll fix that a little bit better later. Okay, one comment. And what do we got? We got, oh, okay. Ugh. Excuse me. Uh, this stuff is very carbonated, but it helps keep my mind awake right now. All right. The two bikers that had surrendered were ordered to strip to their boxers, if they had any, and had their hands and feet duct taped. They were put in the back of one of the pickups and taken back to. I need to start changing it because they refer to this as the barn. So I'll make sure it's listed as the barn. at the Jacob Lake, at the historic Jacob Lake Ranger Station. The dead biker bodies were stripped and taken to a 26-foot freezer trailer that had been captured the day before. Bodies of the bikers and other brigands were tested for dangerous drugs. If none were found, they were frozen until the need to feed the growing number of pigs. Those that tested positive for dangerous drugs were taken to a burn pit. Yes, welcome to the country life where they feed the hogs anything they can. This was the sixth group that had tried to get to. Hang on, I just change this around to get to. Get into the north rim of the Grand Canyon for what was supposed to be their winter encampment. Once salvage operations were done, once the crater would be dug out again to stop the next group trying to get by. There we go. All right. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. This is becoming too common, Kimberly said to Michael. We need to go out and take out some of these groups before they get here. That would be a lot harder, and we will start taking losses, Michael disagreed. Here we can control the environment. No, here we can control the environment. We are close to our supplies. Plus, we don't know where these guys are at or where they are going to, or what route they're taking. Besides, not many others are going to want to go with us if we go out. Yeah, not many of the others here are going to want to go with us if we do go out after these SCUMBAs, after these scumbags. Yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let me save that there. All right. General Marquist and the Colonels Houston's observed while Major Douglas Cooper and Captain Mark Chapman planned the action out. They had 60 Marines, 25 re-enlisted military of other BRA branches, 25 shooters from the Jacob Lake militia, and another 50 from the Fredonia militia. Master Sergeant Grimm's explosive teams had lined the highway with claymores, and they were hoping that they had spaced them right to miss the tanker. They had placed flattened soda cans on the highway to show where the pattern of the claymores would strike. When the claymores were set off, they took out all but 12 motorcycles that were in front of the RVs. Those were taken down by the Fredonia militia. The three pickups were swarmed by the reenlistments and all taken alive. The 9 semis were swarmed by the logistics combat element and 16 Marines. 3 gang members were shot and no Marines were injured. Some of the trucks were stopped further. Any of the other groups had done. And so the last toy hauler was in the blast zone of one of, come on, get in there. One of the, come on here, work right. There we go. One of the rear claymores. And the back third of it got peppered with steel shot. A few of them penetrated the plywood inner wall and damaged several of the motorcycles it was carrying. The front half had 10 snowmobiles and they were untouched. When they opened the first toy hauler, they discovered it was packed with quad ETVs, and 2 of them had snowplows on them. Because the second toy hauler was in the Claymore blast zone, the last 16 motorcycles were out of the blast zone, and they quickly turned around and headed back towards Fredonia. When the plans were made, Abigail had mentioned to Jenny Holland that they didn't have a back door, and the number they had overwatching the area of the rear might not be enough if the bikers stopped short. There was a spot a quarter of a mile further back that the SOG could man as a backup position. Jenny agreed and took the suggestion to Lieutenant Linda Chapman. Linda was about to send some others back there when Jenny suggested that the SOG could run there in 30 minutes to be set up and be hidden when the convoy passed them. She ordered Staff Sergeant Lynn Cole to issue weapons to the SOG and run them down to the spot they wanted to set up at. When the retreating bikers rounded the corner, they found the SOG lined up in a crescent moon formation, and 2 volleys later, the bikers were down. Sure Shot, number 3, Creedmoor, Matahari, under siege, went walking through the down motorcycles, head capping them to make sure they were all dead. Sure Shot capped a prisoner and was going to shoot a passenger when she spoke. To her. No, I was a sex prisoner. I'm not part of the gang. Help me. Last chance, Sure Shot yelled. Got one claiming to be a prisoner. Jenny and several others. Jenny came running over with several others. She claims to be a sex prisoner, Sure Shot told them. Let's get this bike off her leg and get her free from the bike. This is Staff Sergeant Cole at the back door. We have a wounded female hostage prisoner. We need medics. Copy that. Medics on their way, Major Martin Cooper replied. Less than 2 minutes later, the medics pulled up in one of the LATVs that the second group of ROTCs had arrived in, and they piled out. What do we have? Patty Umber asked. Patty had been an ER nurse in Tempe before they bugged out. Only found a single bullet wound. Only found a single bullet wound in her left side abdomen, PFC Holland said. And this. She held out the helmet the girl had been wearing. Down the left side was a massive gash left by a very large bullet. Damn, Willow Pratt. Two T's on Pratt. There we go. All right, one just dropped out. Our worker just dropped out without saying anything. Damn, Willow Pratt said. Who was shooting artillery at her? Me, Sure Shot said meekly. Willow glanced at Sure Shot and went back to work on the girl. It's a good thing you missed, Abigail. If you'd hit her instead of her helmet, she would have been dead. But I didn't miss, Sure Shot protested. I got the 4 guys in front of her that I was aiming for. Her helmet got hit because she leaned around the driver to take a look after I fired. Everyone froze for a second. For a moment, then went back to work cutting clothing away from the girl's wound. Clean entry. Roller towards you, she said to Patty. They rolled the girl to her right side and Willow continue cutting clothing away. Clean exit wound, no sign of tumbling. Willow grabbed an antiseptic white packet, tore it open. We'll get you cleaned up and ready to go to the hospital. You look like you're going to be just fine, she told the girl and wiped the area around the wound down. Amazingly, you're not bleeding much. Are you any type of medications or drugs? No, I don't believe in them, she said through gritted teeth. I take it that means you don't want anything for the pain? Nothing. Damn, Abigail whispered to nobody in particular. She's tough. There we go. Ready for transport, Willow said. Mark Robinson and Lori Peterson rolled the gurney over and helped load the girl on it as they were loading onto it. As they were loading the gurney into the LTV, a dark green crew cab pulled up. One moment, Charles Finley said as he got out, hurried over her. What's her name? We haven't asked, Patty said. Casey Phillips, the girl responded. Miss Phillips, I'm Federal Marshal Finley. I'm placing you in custody until we have determined your exact status with Heaven's Devils. Casey held her hands up together to be handcuffed. Good. Good? I want to be punished for agreeing to be a wag in the biker gang. Well, we'll see what happens when you are better and the commander and his interrogators can talk to you. Charles pulled out his handcuffs and cuffed her right hand to the gurney. I'll follow you to the hospital, he said to Patty. Period. Okay. All right here. Let me go ahead and stop that and all right. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Back to just one single line there. All right. 5. Someone else just came in. Excellent. All right. So, as the LA TV and Finley's pickup, MARSHA, Marshall Finley's pickup pulled away. Number 3 Creedmoor, Mata Hari, and Under Siege walked up to Staff Sergeant Cole. No one else was alive, Marta said. Staff Sergeant called out to all of the SOG. Don't worry or second guess your actions concerning the possibilities of others that might have been prisoners of heaven's devils. They made their choice, and they have paid for that choice. It is not your concern. Don't give it a second thought. Then she radioed. Back door is closed. One survivor being transported in custody. Ready for cleanup. SOG returning to camp. Copy that. Enjoy your hike. M-A. Major Martin Cooper said. There we go. Line up, we're heading back. Then she added, y'all did good. Captain Jackson will be proud of you. Was in the house. It's for Food Forest Permaculture coming in. All right. There we go. After all of the gang's property had been searched, weapons inventoried, sat phones, and hang on, it's copies, not copied. Copies of plans recovered, bodies disposed of, motorcycles stored, and the semi-tractors were inventoried. One of the semi-rigs had hang on, were being driven, D-R-I-V, driven back to the base to be inventoried. There we go. Got to get in the right context here. Inventory. One of the semi rigs had 2 extra drive axles, and its trailer had four axles and 2 carrier axles that could be raised when not in use. Those were down, and the trailer was still riding heavy. When it pulled into the gas station at the Jacob Lake Inn to top off its fuel tanks, Janet and Susan noticed it and went to check it out, check out what it was carrying. When they opened the rear doors, they saw it was loaded with short crates, about half the size of a pallet. Something's not right, Janet said as she carefully climbed in. The crates were covered with small tarps. She freed one of the tarps and gasped. Then she did another, and then another. Susan joined her as they worked their way forward to the front of the trailer. There were hang on, I need to fix it. It's not describing it just quite right. Thanks. Hang on here. Short crates. Some were half the size of a normal pallet, P-A. Others were full pallet size. Okay, So when they opened the rear doors, they saw that it was loaded with short crates. Some were about half the size of a normal pallet, and others were full pallet size. Something's not right, Janet said, carefully climbed in. The crates were covered with small tarps. She freed one of the tarps and gas. Then she freed, hang on, let me do this way. Then she uncovered another and then another. Susan joined in and Susan joined her and they worked their way to the front of the trailer. These are full of there are full pallets of cash up here. No, hang on, I got to get the set right here. Yeah, let me do it. Let me change this up. Those back there, Susan said in awe. Now we have PALLE pallets of gold and SILV, gold and silver bars and coins. We need to take this truck to our cabin, she said urgently, and made her way to the door with Susan right behind her. Right behind her. At the semi, Sergeant Pittman and Corporal Sinchich were finished topping off the fuel tank. Sergeant, we need to take this trailer to another location. We'll drop you off at the camp. Find Colonel Houston and tell him that he needs to bring General Marquest to Juby Chan's nighttime workout location as soon as they can. Sergeant Pittman's eyes widened with the urgency and tone of Janet's voice. Yes, Mrs. Clark, is it that dangerous? It's that important, she replied. Susan will drive the truck, and I will drop you off. She waved for him to follow her as she headed to the Jeep. An hour and a half later, several vehicles, including a Humvee, pulled into the Clark's yard and parked in front of the cargo containers lined up next to the garage. Janet, Monica, and Susan came out of the house to meet them. General Sampson Marquest, Colonel Houston, Lieutenant Colonel Houston, Major Martin Cooper, Major Douglas Cooper, Captain Larry Robinson, Benjamin, Kimberly, and Michael walked up to him. What we have moved here could cause some serious problems and needs to be held in the strictest confidentiality. Sort of super top secret, Janet said with a worried expression on her face. Monica spoke up. This gets repeated to no one else. I will not tell James when he comes. Susan spoke next. Tonight I was going to ask Peyton to marry me, and I will not tell him either. Do you agree to these conditions? Janet asked. Everyone agreed. Follow us, she said, as they turned to walk between the cabin and the garage to the backyard. Past the travel trailers to where the semi-on trailer they took earlier was parked. No one is to know what is in this trailer, Janet said in a hard tone that when she stopped and opened the back doors and set up a stepladder. The trailer is 65 feet long and can hold 2 rows of 19 standard 40 by 48 inch pallets. However, everything it is holding is in 2 foot high, not 4 foot high crates. 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 Missed the A. ATES. There we go. There are 10 pallets of cash in 5, 10, 20s, 50, and $100 denominations. There are no ones as far as we could tell. The rest is half pallet crates that have an inside volume of 22 by 46 inches. 8 of which are coins. 16 are silver bars and coins. 24 are gold bars and coins. At the current gold and silver prices, we estimate there is about $10 billion here, Monica said and swallowed hard. Janet spoke up quickly before anybody else could. We have a suggestion, she said in a serious tone. Tomorrow we send every flatbed trailer we have and a couple box trailers to Flagstaff, to Home Depot, and home. Every piece of plumbing, pipes, fixtures, toilets, electrical wiring, electrical switches, receptacles, light fixtures, bulbs, plywood, OSB sheeting, roofing material, and insulation they have. Also to the plumbing contractors for pipe, septic tanks, and roof, and to the roofing contractors. Wood burning stove. Also get wood burning stoves, flooring, bulk mixed concretes, and anything else we in the camp might need. And you want to keep the secret why? General Marquest asked. People might feel they have a right to a share or start charging us more for the services, thinking that we have money to burn. They know already that we have recovered some gold, silver, and cash, but not a lot. We want to keep it that way to get our money's worth in the services and materials. Agreed, Santa Marquis said. And this way we can dole out money and money, silver, SIL, and gold slowly and split the local local economy grows slowly and not SP and spike uncontrollably. All right, let's not calm, uncontrollably. Period. Janet said, said, as She closed and locked the trailer. We'll count out amounts of $10,000, $10,000, $100,000 bundles, as well as gold, just in case they are giving up on currency. Just in case those in Flagstaff are giving up on currency. Before the others left, Kimberly asked Lieutenant Colonel Houston if she and Michael could get her in about 30 minutes to go question the wounded girl that Federal Marshal Finley was watching over at the hospital. She said, of course, and wondered if Commander Smythe was going to come too. Kimberly said that the commander and her team were busy with interrogating other prisoners. After the others had left, Benjamin, and it was just Benjamin, Janet, Monica, Susan, Michael, and Kimberly, Janet motioned them to the house and said they had more information about what was in the trailer. Susan and I removed two crates worth of gold and a dozen bank bags of cash. We need you to go to Flagstaff tomorrow as well and get another dump trailer, at least a 16-footer with 3 axles, a 50 or 60 horsepower tractor with attachments including snowplow, a bigger sawmill, an F550 or 650 or 2, and a couple tilt trailers, 2 85 horsepower track steer loaders with high volume front front snow blowers, stump grinders, post hole attachments, and with 12, 18, and 24-inch augers. Susan picked up the conversation. On Monday, we need to go to the county assessor's office and finish transferring title for 6 properties that were in arrears in their property taxes, including the properties on either side of the cabin. And anything on Janet's list that we don't get tomorrow, we can get Monday. So what is the gold for? To repay Susan and Monica for their donations in purchasing weapons, land, and such. A salary for Commander Smythe and compensation for Nora's family for the stress they're going through without her. And whatever emergency funds we need for the community, Janet said. Plus, the price of gold is going to drop shortly, so it's not going to be worth as much, including what we already had, Monica added. With the new lands, we'll be able to get more livestock to raise more food, because food will become the new currency, even more so than gold or silver. Then don't forget canning supplies, Michael said, acknowledging the thought process. Lots and lots of jars and even more lids. Pick up a couple more freezers too, Kimberly said as she finished making some of the sandwiches. Canning takes time, and we will need to freeze some things until we get around to canning them. But we have one of the 26 freezer trailers, Susan said, but only so much fuel for the motor and no spare parts for it, Kimberly said. We also need to look into more solar panels and batteries. She set the plates with sandwiches on the table. And parts to make a hydrogen system. Michael took a bite of his sandwich. A what? Using solar panel or any electrical power for that matter, you can separate water into hydrogen and oxygen. Using pumps, you can then compress the gases into their own tanks for later use, Michael explained. Hydrogen can power any internal combustion engine with a little modification. And we have lots of motorcycle engines and alternators. Wow, that's genius, Monica said. Then looked at Kimberly. I'm glad you picked Michael to marry. Kimberly started choking on her sandwich and quickly grabbed her glass of milk. All right. Let's see here. Okay, we just got our, looks like we got our major four in here. All right. All right. What are we looking at here? Ooh. I had something this morning that we get down to 3. Okay, there's something going on here. Let me see here. Let me get this back up here. See if I can find out what's going on here. And you. All right. And there we go. Put that on there. Okay, that's what it was. It dropped off to one thing. All right. So, all right. We're sitting here good. All right. So, hopefully my indigestion here will go away. I ate something for breakfast that's not agreeing with me. Or at least it's, giving me excess gas here. All right, let's get going here. Oh, someone came in and went right back out again. All right. All right, let's see here. Let's look at this stuff here. Lieutenant Colonel Houston walked into the hospital where the prisoner Casey Phillips lay handcuffed to the side of the bed rails. And she nodded to Charles she nodded to Charles. Any problems with this heaven devil slut? None at all, he smiled. In fact, she's refusing painkillers and never said a word. Unless she was asked. Really? Nola, N-O-L, Nola said with surprise. We'll have to see how she reacts to the questioning. Stepping up to the front of the bed, she stared at Casey for several seconds before saying, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Houston of the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Program. I've been tasked with helping with the questioning of criminal gangs and the execution of execution of members of Heaven's Devils, unless they provide information that warrants their lives being spared. Casey's eyes went wide and her mouth gapped open for several seconds before she spoke. I would like to speak to a police officer, please. Not going to happen, Nola said emphatically. By presidential decree, the dealing in all things Heaven's Devils has been assigned to federal law enforcement and the military. Casey's head dropped to her chest, and I'm ready for the firing squad. Nola chuckled. Oh no, you don't get off that easy. Red Assassin. Kimberly and Red Assassin. Green A-R-C-H. Green Archer. Kimberly Michael enter wearing their balaclavas. Casey sucked in a breath as she eyed, and her eyes widened. Wider than before. Kimberly stopped at the side of the bed and leaned forward, putting her face an inch away from Casey's. Why did you join Heaven's Devil? She growled in a deep, gravelly voice. They were going to make me a pass-around girl unless I agreed to be smooth swag. She started crying. I figured being raped by one guy was better than being raped by several guys every day. I'd be less likely to get a disease. My parents were dead, and my parents were dead, and I was all alone. She cried harder. I'm not a fighter like my friend. I don't know what to do. Michael, Kimberly said in a more normal voice, do you think I can turn her into a fighter? I don't know, Michael answered, not sure what Kimberly where Kimberly was going with this. He leaned in a bit and asked, when did you join Heaven's Devils? I was rounded up a week ago and Smooth made me the offer the next day, she said. Then she looked back at Kimberly. What do you mean turn me into a fighter? Kimberly smiled broadly beneath her balaclava and tapped her name tag. K. Jackson, Casey said with a furrowed brow. K. Jackson. K. Jackson, she exclaimed the last time. Kimberly? She questioned loudly. Kimberly stood up and pulled her balaclava down. Kimberly! Casey shouted. And she tried to sit up and reach out to her, stopping short, wincing in pain as her right hand flew to the wound in her left side. Kimberly pushed her back gently. What happened to you? I went by your house and no one was there. Your RV was gone. I saw you leave the karate tournament early and tried to catch you before you left, but you left so fast I couldn't. I went, sorry. When I got home, my mom was freaking out about the asteroid. I figure your mom found out about it and took you home. She took a deep breath and winced again, then continued. After the president's address, my dad started checking the computer, and after about 10 minutes, he called his brother and asked if we could come stay with them. My dad wouldn't say why we were leaving Tempe when it was so far inland. She repeated softly, he would never say why. On the 17th, I was in a movie theater with a friend of my cousin's when the rainstorm started. When the rainstorm started before we got there, it was. Let's break that up. Let me change this. It was really starting to come down while we were inside. We were making our way to the parking lot when the flash floods overwhelmed the storm drains and the earthquake hit. She started crying. The neighborhood where my uncle's house was disappeared into the quicksand. The earthquakes lasted for what seemed like a half an hour, but it was only 8 minutes or so. But there were several more right after it. My date had a big pickup with really big oversized tires, and we were able to make our ways to the foothills where the soil was still solid. We found some other teens and set up a little camp. More joined us after a couple days. More joined us there, and after a couple of days, the Heaven Devils found us and took us captive. I tried calling you, but my calls were blocked. She looked at Kimberly with a bit of anger slipping into her voice and expression. My mom blocked everyone in my contact list, she said. We needed to look after ourselves. Kimberly looked down with sadness. I'm sorry. When she looked, then she looked up, smiling. I ran into Michael and fell very hard in love and got engaged. We got very busy getting supplies and training and moving out of Tempe. I saw some of your videos on and it's the on YouTube and InstaFace. She glared at Kimberly. I was so jealous. And that girl, April, I hated her. She missed her period and thought she was pregnant, Kimberly replied. Oh, I'm sorry. She's looked down. G-U-E, I guess. I guess I am a bad person. No, just trapped and scared, Kimberly said as she leaned forward and kissed her on the cheek. I thought Vegas would have been. I thought Vegas would have been safe too from water. Sorry, I thought Vegas would have been safe from water too. I didn't think about flash floods and earthquakes. Well, Monica asked Nola. She is basically telling the truth, Nola responded. It seems there are a few things she's hiding. But I think those things might be. I think those might be things she did and are embarrassing. Kimberly looked at the handcuffs at the handcuffs. Hang on, this is Saga. Okay, that's what the handcuffs on Casey. Charles, she said softly, does she need to be handcuffed? Does she need to be in handcuffs? No, he smiled and reached over and uncuffed her. Are you going to put her in your SOG like the others? If she wants to, but like the others, she gets to watch for a week and still do some PT when she still has to do PT when she's healed. I will handle the pain for my punishment. For what? For having sex with a lot of boys after the earthquake. Sex for fun? Michael asked before Kimberly could. No, for anger, she started crying. I was angry at my dad for leaving Tempe. I was angry at I was angry that my family was gone. Hang on. After the earthquake. After the earthquake. After the earthquake. And that I was still alive. Blocking my calls. I was angry that I had no control over my life. So I had sex with a lot of all the boys I could. I gave myself away. The Phoenix Mesa Tempe metro area was flooded by a huge tsunami on the 21st, Michael said. Your father figured out that the would reach there, and that's why he took you to Las Vegas. Oh my God, no, Casey said. We don't know how many, if any, from Tempe survived, Michael said. We missed that. too and couldn't warn anybody about it. We had no control over it. I understand the control part better than you might think, Casey. The earthquake made me go into shock and I almost died. So many friends died I couldn't save them. I nearly beat an innocent staff sergeant to death because I wrongly thought she caused my father's death. Then the president swore Michael and I in as Marine lieutenants, and the next day General Marquess promoted us to captain. My mom hates that I'm a Marine, but she just said she's glad you chose to marry me. Yeah, but the next 3 weeks are going to be the hardest. 3 weeks. General Donaldson told us that my dad didn't die, that he'd actually been taken prisoner by the Taliban and he escaped on the 18th. He made his way to Geisar Air Base in time to catch the last flight out. On the 20th, he was on the USS Gerald Ford recuperating. He will be here in 3 weeks, and then Michael and I are getting married. Oh my God, that's great news. Cassie reached out and grabbed Kimberly and pulled her to her. Kimberly pushed Casey back towards the bed. And if you break your stitches loose, I'm going to have Michael hold you down while I spank you. Casey stopped resisting and laid back. Leave me out of this, Michael quipped. Casey looked at Michael. Hi, Michael, I'm Casey. Hi. Any idea when I can get out of here? When the doctor says you can, Kimberly said, getting very serious. And if you try leaving before they say, I will break both your legs, handcuff both your hands to the rails. Casey got bug-eyed. I mean it. Stay put and get better first. Okay, Casey squeaked. All right. I got to go take care of something. I'll be right back. Let me get this here. So I want to change to that. All right. So hang on. Let me roll this up, scroll this up. Just. All right. I'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, I'm back. All right. And what do we got here? Okay. Yes, it is. All right. All right. Now I got a little. Had to get something to try to settle my stomach down here. Whoa. Okay. Someone just popped in and right back out again. Uh, all right. I need to change this. During DUR. During dinner in the chow hall, Kimberly's head was lowered as she poked at her food, hardly eating anything. Michael was watching her closely, trying to figure out what was bothering her. Then he saw a tear land on the edge of her plate, and everything became crystal clear to her. She wanted to go back and rescue all she could, all she could find. In Tempe, and she was planning on going alone. When are we going to go? He said, emphasizing the fact that he was going with her. Kimberly froze in mid poke and didn't move. More tears hit the plate. Well, are we getting married first? The tears started flowing and it looked like rain on her plate. We really should, so we aren't distracted by our trying not to give in to our desires. She snuffled. Don't even think about going without me. I'll pull the sog and we all will come after you. He gave a little chuckle. Of course I'll have to carry you back after Abigail shoots you in the butt. Other officers picked up on the last couple sentences. What's up? Asked Douglas Cooper. Come on. Did you, Douglas Cooper? Kimberly wants to go back to Tempe and see how many she can save. Crap, Douglas said. When are we going? Kimberly's head snapped up quickly. Oh, it's not. No, it's Captain. No, it's Major Douglas Cooper. Yeah. Crap, Douglas said. When are we going? Kimberly's head snapped up quickly. No, you're not going. I promised Donna you would stay here and not go in the field. Shit. Lieutenant Heather Craig, one of the reenlistment Marines, growled. You didn't promise my hubby squat. I'm coming in the major's place. When? Lieutenant Zach Paulson asked. I'll be back on full duty in 2 weeks. From the next table, Staff Sergeant Lynn Cole spoke up. I can't go. You got me locked into one of your snot, locked into being one of your SOG's DIs, but I'll order last chance to go. We're coming too, Lieutenant Chapman said. her husband, hang on here, husband hand, H-A-N-D, grabbing her husband's hand. Me too, Gunny Sergeant Daniel Oliver spoke. There ain't no way I'll let the the colonel's daughter go without a proper team. General Marquez coughed. Captain, if I order you not to go, I know you won't because you respect the Corps too much. But I won't do that. Thank you, sir. I'll call your father instead. I love this one. I'll call your father instead. Hang on here. He smirked. Kimberly's eyes widened in shock as she jumped to her feet. You wouldn't. The second I know you're gone. All right. I won't up and go, Kimberly said, slowly sinking back into her chair. But I will work on plans for various size units to go in the spring and submit them for approval. Good. We'll review them, and if any are and submit for if any are feasible, we will work out the intel for them. General Marquez said, but you will not go without orders. Aye, aye, sir, Kimberly said sharply, though her shoulders slumped somewhat. After a few seconds, she shot Michael a pouty look. I love you, Captain Jackson. Where you go, I go. I know, I just feel helpless every time we save somebody after they've been raped. She sighed. I want to actually say some before that happens. I wholeheartedly feel the same way, General Marquis said. That's why we must eliminate Heaven's Devils and the other gangs wholesale. That way we can save a lot of people from their evil. It's not as immediately satisfying as a one-on-one rescue, but a lot more will be spared the pain and suffering of the gangs if we concentrate on the gangs. Yes, sir, Kimberly said a little bit sheepishly. You're right. It's selfish of me to go off and play a female Don Quixote. You're not the only one who holds to the ideals that drove Don Quixote, Sampson said. That's why we are Marines, to serve and protect others who can't protect themselves. After a few seconds, he added, the difference is you actually have the strength, skills, and powers to be the hero. Kimberly started eating as she considered the general's last statement. Later that evening, back at the cabin, as they were finishing dessert, Susan took Peyton's left hand in her right hand nervously. After a few seconds, Peyton asked what was wrong. When Susan said she had something she needed to talk to him about, wasn't sure how to say it. You're not breaking up with me, are you? Peyton asked nervously. Oh, hell no, Susan declared. Good, Peyton said, and pulled out a small jewelry box from his pocket. One that would have earrings, a small necklace, or a ring in it, and set it in front of her. I'm hoping you're feeling the way I'm feeling. That better be a ring, she practically screeched excitedly. Will you marry me? He asked as he flipped open the ring case. Yes, Susan, shouted, S-H-O-U-T, shouted as she threw her arms around Peyton's neck and kissed him. Everyone started clapping and offering congratulations when Susan whispered in Peyton's ear, none too quietly, I ovulated this morning. You want to go make a baby? Peyton reared back for a second and scooped Susan up in his arms and announced, "Excuse me, we're going to go make a baby," and carried her out. Okay, hang on here. Mm-hmm. There we go. I hate when I have a nearly full blank page at the end here. All right. Chapter 9, Saturday, the new moon, October 31st, Halloween. There was a bigger and brighter full moon shining in the early pre-dawn hours as Colonel Albert Houston, Major Douglas Cooper, Sergeant Master Ollie Stain, and a couple others from the logistic unit and 6 Marines were standing by a school bus. 2 Humvees, hang on, that's going to be a capital T, by a school bus, 2 Humvees, 2 Suburbans, and a MRTV standard cargo truck at the Kanab Airport when the C-40A Clipper arrived with the PJs and their dependents and several tons of Okay, that settled my stomach. All right. Chief Hanson Peel made sure that there was a forklift standing by to help with the transferring the palleted supplies to the MTRV standard cargo truck. The school bus took the PJ's dependents to their RVs at the camp while Albert and Douglas drove them to the hospital to meet the administrator and staff in the Suburbans. The 2 pallets of medical supplies were offloaded, and the MTRV took the other supplies to camp. To camp, escorted by the 2 Humvees. The PJs were shown the 3 RVs set aside for their use at the hospital if the need arose. After an hour of meet and greet and a tour, oh boy, okay, and a tour, they left to head to the camp. As soon as the morning run was completed, 2 convoys left for Flagstaff. Brian and Su Ying Wild took over for Kimberly in teaching martial arts, while she and Michael joined their parents on the trip. They took Susan's F650 trailer hauler, and Kimberly drove one of the captured 1-ton pickups they had modified with a GAU on a remote-controlled elevating mount in the camper shell. Their first stop was at the Ford dealership, which was part of the chain that owned the dealership where Susan had bought her truck at. They noticed a lot was packed with new vehicles. "Susan, how are you doing?" came a voice from the doors of the showroom. There stood the same salesman that had sold Susan her truck. He jogged over to them quickly and shook her hand, and then Monica's. Then he saw Kimberly and Michael. "Juby Chan, Super Scout." He shouted with a huge smile on his face. Thank you. He threw an arm around each of them and hugged them both. You saved my family. Then he shook Monica's hand again and thanked her for coming with Susan. He explained that his wife and daughter were at archery headquarters when they did the demonstration. He said that he'd watched the video they showed him and decided to check out the websites. He moved his family to Flagstaff and transferred to this dealership, which his brother was the manager of. He hugged them again and asked them what he could do for them. Susan said they were looking for several F550s or 650s, preferably something similar to her truck. He smiled and said they had the other three from Tempe in the back lot. We'll take those three and that F550 Stateside, Benjamin said. Pointing to it. 30 minutes later, they were getting ready to leave when a car pulled into the sales lot and stopped in front of them. A girl jumped out. Juby, she shouted. Kimberly blinked in surprise. Nancy? Nancy collided with Kimberly, hugging her tightly. Thank you for saving my family. Kimberly lost it and started crying with joy, hugging her back. Nancy's mother walked up. Sometimes you have to embarrass a person to get them to act, she said. Thank you. After a few minutes, Michael interrupted. We're on a tight schedule. We have to get more supply. Then he looked at Nancy's parents. Get guns and learn to shoot. That includes Nancy and any other kids you have. Get lots of ammunition. Gangs are on the loose, and they will come here sooner or later. With the flooding of the Phoenix Mesa metro area, the gangs will be looking to the next largest cities to try to take over. Tucson should be their first target, then Flagstaff and Prescott. We will, Super Scout, Nancy's mother said with conviction. Their next stop was at the trailer dealership where Michael had gotten the tilting flatbed. They picked up a dually 3-axle, 24-foot dump trailer with 36-inch sides and a 3-way tailgate with heavy-duty ramps. Two 40-foot power tilt trailers, a 36-foot tilt trailer, and a 36-foot toy hauler. They didn't have a longer one. All the trailers were fifth wheel, so they got another. All of the trailers were fifth wheel, so they got another automated safety hitch system set up. Michael claimed the F550 with the automated safety hitch system and the toy hauler. Michael and Kimberly stopped at the wood stove store. They cleaned them out and got extra stove piping and roof kits. Then they headed to Cal Ranch and got all of the wood stoves and accessories they had. After those were loaded, they went back inside and got several dozen pairs of jeans, Western snap shirts, 6 cowboy hats each, a dozen pair of cowboy boots each, and 4 dozen pairs pairs of boot socks each. While Michael and Kimberly were doing their shopping, the others went to Flagstaff Equipment and got 2 Bobcat T777s or 3 T777s compact track loaders. They were the largest they had at 92 horsepower. They got all of the attachments that Janet suggested and several that they didn't know existed, but knew they would need but knew they needed when they saw them. They also got a Bobcat CT 5558 rubber tired tractor. Hang on. Farm tractor with attachments. They also got 3 dozen of every filter for each one. Hang on. Sorry. Need a little more go juice. Hang on. I'm going to make myself big for a second here. So I got some stainless steel straws. This is one of the shorter ones, and it fits just perfect in the can here. And I've noticed that sucking the energy drink through the carbonated energy drink through it, it helps cause it to release the carbonation before it hits my tongue and my mouth. So it's not as shocking as it is normally. They were finished securing the equipment when Michael and Kimberly drove up. Michael handed out ham radios saying, hang on, I got to retype. I typed this too fast the other night when I was working on this, saying that they were set to the same frequencies for 2 meter, 220, 440, and 6 meter. They were all set on 220 to start with. Because Janet's Hudson Oscar 60 sawmill was for sale. They got it and 2 extra 20-foot track sections, 3 dozen blades, as well as extra filters for the engine and bearings for the blade wheels. They stopped and topped off their fuel tanks and headed out. Traffic on US Route 89 was almost non-existent after 15 miles. They pushed their speed to 72 in the 65 and to 82 in the 75 zone. Kimberly was bringing up the rear. Keeping an eye out behind them. After a while, Kimberly noticed that there were 3 pickups slowly, SLOWCAT, catching up to them. Hang on, them, comma, but when they were about half mile back. I may need to change this in a minute. Using her, hang on, ATCH, Correct that spelling. Using her monocular to look in the mirror. There. She okay, I know there's a G in here, so recognize them from the the truck stop where they fueled up at. She keyed her ham radio. Guys, we have pickups with white trash in them following us. They're hanging back about a mile. Are you sure? Yeah, they were watching us from across the street at the truck stop and hurried to get in their pickups when we pulled out. I'm going to slow down a couple miles an hour, and you guys bump it up a bit. When I get to Gray Mountain, I'll pull off into the DOT station there. You should be far enough out of sight that they think that you already pulled in or in back. With the equipment you have, it'll make sense to them. I know you have the GAU 20 in the back, but what if it jams? Michael said. I have my dad's car 15 with a 90 round drum. With a 90 round drum and suppressor, she replied, and my combat pistols. 20 minutes later, Kimberly had lost sight of the others, and the pickups were still hanging back a mile. She slowed even more and spotted a rise of the road about a mile ahead. Pickup slowed too. Reaching the top of the rise, she stopped. She grabbed her binoculars and got out. She zoomed in on the first pickup and smiled as they seemed to be freaking out a bit. The pickup stopped about a quarter mile behind her, and one of the other pickups pulled up into the other lane and stopped next to the first. The three men in the pickup in the back came walking up, two of them between the pickup and pickups, and one on the far right side. She put the binoculars back on the seat. She moved to the rear door of the crew cab and opened it. Leaning in, she removed the blanket that was covering her father's modified car 15. Popped off the lens covers from the scope, picked it up, and slid it out the door, keeping it as inconspicuous as possible. As possible. Carefully, she brought it to her shoulders and aimed at the white trash gang member on the side of the road, on the side of the pickup in the correct lane. She adjusted the scope for distance and set the crosshair on the gang member. He was raising a scope rifle to aim at her. As soon as he had it to his shoulder, she put a 3-round burst into him. She swung on line with the other two standing between the pickups and gave them each a 3-round burst. Hang on, I need to change this here. Then she flipped the selector switch to full auto as she lined up on the driver of the pickup in the wrong lane. She held the trigger down and slowly moved her aim across the windshield, eliminating those inside. Her swept continuing to the first truck. The driver had dropped it into reverse and was backed up 4 feet into the pickup behind him. She raked the cab and then switched the selector to semi-auto and looked for signs of movement. After a minute of not seeing anything move, she put one shot into the radiator of the two trucks. She could see. Put the rifle back in the rear seat and covered it up. Then she policed her brass and dropped into the forward leaning rest position to make sure she hadn't missed any. Standing back up, she grabbed her binoculars for one final look at the pickups. Still not seeing any movement, she climbed into the cab of the 1-ton and picked up the radio and said, "Stupid white trash taken out." It was about 3:30 when everyone was back at camp and the supplies were starting to be unloaded. Larry came over to where Michael was parked, getting several of the wood stoves unloaded for the barracks, shower houses, and chow hall. Also for the chow hall, he dropped off 2 wood cook stoves. KP now included splitting and hauling firewood and the ashes from the stoves. Bob Miller and the carpenter crew were busy milling lumber for a sawmill pole barn for the mill that Benjamin had gotten. They had most of the beams milled when Susan pulled up with a Bobcat track loaders and tractor. Benjamin, when Susan pulled up with the tractors, and Benjamin with all the attachments, and Janet with the Hudson Oscar 60 sawmill. Bob walked over the biggest grin ever and started untying the tie-down straps. Once the CT-58 was unloaded and the scraper box on the 3-point hitch, to work clearing and leveling the pad for the permanent sawmill pole barn. In about 20 minutes, Janet had a 30 by 80 foot pad cleared and level. Parking the tractor out of the way, she opened the cab and yelled, "I love this thing." She bounced over to Benjamin. "Honey," she said in the happiest voice Michael had heard from her in years, "Kimberly and Michael are sleeping in their trailer tonight so we can have the cabin to ourselves." And she pulled a Kimberly stunt, climbing up on Benjamin. "Mom!" Michael shouted. "Mama!" Kimberly exclaimed. "Go, Janet, go!" Monica hollered. "Mom, don't encourage her!" Kimberly cried out. "Baby, when your father gets here, my trailer is going to be rocking all night long." "Mom!" she shouted and turned 6 shades of red. All right. Yeah. By the time they headed to the chow hall, they had 10 holes augured out, 4 sacks of 80 pounds concrete mix poured in the hole, and the beam ready to set after dinner. Benjamin, Janet, Monica, and Susan joined the officers at General Marquest's insistence. "I want to thank you again for getting those wood stoves to heat the barracks. the barracks maintenance and exercise bay of the, and of course the 2 wood cook stalls for the chow hall. Things are still going to get cold this winter, Benjamin said, but not as cold as Valley Forge, Sampson smiled. We hope not. Kimberly spoke up. We should send a convoy to Cedar City tomorrow for pallets of concrete mix from Home Depot and Lowe's. Yes, Benjamin said. What they were able to squeeze on the trailers today won't make the pad for the new sawmill. Sampson said, as he thought about what they said. Lieutenant Pusser of the Logistics Combat Element spoke up. We got 4 of the MTRV 16.5 ton load handling systems, 8x8s with empty 20-foot cargo Connex containers, 2 LSVRs with tank lowboys now empty, and 2 HETA-1s that can haul the 2 lowboys that the Heaven Devils brought. We should be able to haul all of the pallets of bagged concrete mix, Portland cement, and mortar that Home Depot and Lowe's have in stock, and several portable concrete mixers to boot. I would send both LAV 25s for escort, Michael added. Then as an afterthought, and maybe the Cougars too. Did you find trouble in find trouble in Flagstaff? Lieutenant Pusser asked. In Flagstaff? No, outside. Michael let the sentence hang. Stupid white trash inbred hillbilly moron gangs, Kimberly muttered softly, looking at her plate, drawing glances from several of the officers sitting close by. Then she lifted her head, looking at Captain Chapman. Mark, I need to escort my mom, Michael's mom, and Susan to the county's assessor's office Monday morning to transfer titles on several properties they're buying next to the Clarks and the Kaibab camper village, so they can expand cattle, sheep, hog, and garden production for this coming spring, so we can extend the supplies we've received from Heaven's Devils' generous donations. Lieutenant Linda Chapman snorted lemonade out through her nose as did several others. Mother Fletcher, that sting, she exclaims. Everyone else had their smiles. I'm sorry, Linda. You can have a free I'll just throw a traditional bachelorette party with lots of alcohol and 3 male strippers for you, just for you. She added as Kimberly took a bite of mashed potatoes. Kimberly's head snapped up as she looked at Linda, her cheeks puffed out full. Linda brought her cell phone up quickly and snapped the picture. Michael growled, "No strippers at anyone's party." Several people chuckled. I'll send a couple crew cabs and 8 Marines with you, General Marquis stated. Do you have enough funds so in case they have a few more properties that you can purchase? Susan spoke up softly, but not quite softly enough. I still have a few million left. Several officers and non-coms coughed. Yes, we are planning to ask if there are more properties we can pick up through tax liens or bank foreclosures, Janet stated. What about greenhouses? Can we still get some? Linda asked. We'll ask around Monday, Monica said. So, Captain Jackson, Major Eric Holmes said, my daughter, she's 16, and wanted me to ask you to train her. Mine too, both of them, Kenny Appleton added. Morning run starts at 0530, and the run consists of 2, 5, or 10-mile circuits, depending on your skill level. For some of us, it's a little more, Kimberly stated. Then PT for an hour, followed by breakfast. Training classes for locals and youth are at the Kaibab Camper Village Maintenance Building. Marine Corps training is in the workstation maintenance bay. We will be adding more exercise and training equipment as we get it made or purchase it. Kimberly looked at Kenny Appleton. Your daughters are what? Your daughters are 12 and 14, right? Yes, yeah. He asked. He answered in surprise that she knew that. Have you given them any sort of training? They started karate last year and are running track at school. Any PJ training? No. Major, what about your daughter? 3 years ago, she started karate and archery. PT training, just rifle shooting. Kimberly turned around and looked at the tables where the Saga were eating. Hero Maker, she called out. Cora Spencer jumped to her feet. Yes, Captain. When did you start posting videos of me? 3.5 years ago on my birthday. About looking at the table where the PJ's families were. Scarlett Holmes. Yes, Juby Kent Chan. She answered, standing quickly, shocking her father. When did you first see videos of me? A little over 3 years ago. What website what was the website you saw them on? YouTube, the real life Julie Chan, the Ninja Girl channel. That's Hero Maker's channel. Scarlett Holmes started shaking and squeaking as she tried to contain her excitement. Hero Maker, when did I start my training? Most of the SOG stood, as did several others around the Chow Hall. Her father was Major James Jackson, United States Marine Corps, 4th Forcon. He started training her when she was 4 years old. When she was 7, she started learning Jeet Kune Do, which is the martial art Bruce Lee developed. Her master is Diana Lee Inosanto, Bruce Lee's goddaughter. She is a 3rd level instructor in it. She studied under several other martial arts instructors as well, they all said. She also trained with Dan Inosanto, they all said. She also trained, hang on a second. She also trained with Dan Inosanto and started learning Filipino martial arts, aka arnis, Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Eskrima, Muay Thai, and Sayat. Others she trained with were Nori Nakamura for 1 summer, 1 month with Taki Kamura, 3 months with Wendy Chung. Commander Smythe, Nora, called out as she entered with 4 of the plague doctors. The PG sat upright, looking at Kimberly strangely. She is also the 2nd youngest officer in Marine Corps history, having been sworn in by the President of the United States, Nora continued. Michael is 1 day younger. The PJ's eyes got a bit wider. Can I train Scarlett? Kimberly asked, turning back to Major Holmes. In whatever you want. Hang on. Undo that. Move that down like that. There we go. And whatever you want. And Scarlett screeched excitedly. Yeah. Kimberly leaned forward. The Saga is mainly 16 and 17-year-olds. Boot camp is 16 weeks instead of 13. When we move on to intermediate training, then we move on to intermediate training for 8 months. This includes School of Infantry and other basic advanced training. That ends the first year. Those that pass will be placed in stage 1 advanced training. Those that don't pass intermediate training will be given the option of retraining or transferring to a regular MOS. Next stage is advanced 1 training, and that's 6 months. It is medical training plus continuing PT. Nothing like you have, but if you're still here, we would defer to you to teach it. Those that pass will be placed in stage 2 advanced training, which is 5.5 months of SEER training. Those that pass SEER training will be placed in stage 3 advanced training, which is 4 months with lots of math, geometry, and trigonometry. It is sniper school and forward observer training. After that is ninja assassin training, but only for the top 2%. Or she can just take the Jet Kune Do classes and or weapons training with the militia. Daddy, please, I want to be in the SOG, Scarlett said, suddenly standing beside and behind Kimberly. I need to talk to your mother first, Major Holmes replied, then looked at Kimberly and asked, what is the youngest member of your SOG? Because some look younger than 16. Yes, there are some aberrations, both younger and older. The youngest is Phoenix. She and her older sister are being raped by their father. Long story short, they killed them, and we took them and their mother in. She's 11 and will get 4 years of training before she's allowed to go out in the field. The next youngest is Sure Shot, 13 and a half. And don't forget to mention the half, Kimberly chuckled. She is our best sniper with several Quigleys, a couple hat tricks, and a sweep. Her total since the 24th is 42. And before you say anything about her, she's Michael's baby sister, and that makes her my future baby sister-in-law. Kimberly took a deep breath and blew it out. Our oldest is PFC Holland. I busted her to recruit from Staff Sergeant for going AWOL to rescue her younger sister. Then she got mixed up with Heaven's Devils and Heaven's Daniel trying to get to Idaho. She's working extra hard to earn her stripes back. Which reminds me, PFC Holland front and center, Kimberly called out in a loud voice. You're out of uniform. She stood up and turned around. When Jenny got to her, Kimberly held out Lance Corporal chevrons and handed them to her. Keep up the hard work. Thank you, Captain. I won't let you down. Nora headed towards General Marquez and found an empty seat close. The 4 plague doctors headed back to their normal table with their trays. Good news, General, Nora said with a real smile. B N-I-E beneath. Okay. E-A. Okay, that's our E-A beneath her mask. M-A-S-K. Her mask. Six of the leaders all say the next batch coming will be on the day after your Thanksgiving, 4 weeks away. That's great news, Sampson said. That gives us plenty of time to prepare for them. Did they say how many would be in the group? The smile dropped from Nora's face behind the mask, and it could be seen in her eyes. About 2,000, she said. And they are recruiting the Hungry and other gang members. However, I think it could be as high as 3,000 by then. Maybe my dad can bring a couple Vipers with him, Kimberly said hopefully. Captain Thomas Trump spoke up. If they are building Airbase LaSalle at Council, they might have an AC-130 Ghost Rider. Not yet. Hang on, I need to split this up. There we go. Not yet, Michael said. I asked. Larry, Kimberly started. Are the hams in Fredonia still complaining about the magnetic meteors messing with all radio transmissions up here and at the North Rim? Jimmy said they were putting out a story about I need to put an A in there. About a 13-year-old boy hunting and getting lost and his radio not working. The search party reported interference. Reported the interference in the area is still strong, and it took them longer with more searchers to find him. Perfect, Kimberly smiled. What's that about radio interference? Lieutenant Paulson asked. Our radios are working fine. Colonel Albert Houston answered. The day that the first scouting unit from Heaven's Devil showed up, they were using ham radios to communicate with their main group in Kingman. Captain Jackson and Commander Smythe captured their leader and killed the rest of them. While the bodies were being disposed of, the Kingman group tried contacting the scouts. Several local boys, he noticed Kimberly's frown, young men, started talking to them, pretending that there was real bad interference, and they had to try 3 times to get the message out to wait 3 days before coming. When the Albuquerque chapter showed up, a couple of them stopped in at the cafe in Fredonia, and the locals spun up the story about how bad it was and that it was getting worse the closer you got to the North Rim. They had been talking it up on ham radio, on the ham radio general contact and frequencies that the various groups of Heaven's Devils have been using. Genius, Lieutenant Pusser snuckered. That way the Heaven Devils don't suspect anything when they can't get hold of groups that are supposed to be setting up there. Exactly, Albert confirmed. So the locals are our electronic warfare unit? Sampson asked. More like our misinformation unit, Larry said. We use locals in the box to do the same thing when we were jamming certain frequencies, except it was malfunctioning equipment putting out erratic signals. Valerie Kirby, Corey's older sister, came into the chow hall. She was wearing the black armband that the militant members were wearing to show their rank. She had the insignia of lieutenant on it. She walked up to Kimberly and whispered in her ears. Kimberly perked up. It seems that Idaho has initiated staff. The video of Walt Rogers' wedding and the acceptance of the position of Chief Federal Marshal. And more, Valerie added. More? General Sampson Samson Marquist asked. A lot more. Well, let's head over, Samson said, and shoved the last bit of brownie in his mouth and pointed at Major Holmes and Captain Hiller, waved for them to join. As they left, they scraped their paper plates into the scrap barrel and put the paper plates and napkins and paper cups in the compost bin, coffee cups and utensils into the washing bins. They had found a couple pallets of paper goods in one of the Walmart trucks that was for Sam's Club. The paper goods saved on water usage and made the compost for the vegetable gardens. The scraps were fed to the hogs. Okay, 372. Let me check something here real quick. 372. 384. 12 pages. Okay, so. All right, the conference call, in the conference room, the screen showed a familiar office, but one showed the familiar office, sorry, I got to this thing out. In the only view. After everyone was seated, Corey spoke into the sat phone and nodded at the reply. Sack Davies will be with us in a moment. A few seconds later, Sack Davies entered the picture and sat at the desk. Forgive me, but things are a little exciting here. He chuckled and pulled out a thumb drive. As he reached past the view of the camera with it and moved the mouse, after a few seconds, the screen split and his image shrank. His image shrank and moved to the left side, as well as there's a PP appearing. Come on. Nope. Appearing below his, as well as, oh, had it backwards, as well as theirs appearing below his, and an image of a grand looking room appeared in the large section. Vice President Mitchell stood against the far wall looking towards the camera, and Walt Rogers stood in front and to his left. I'm going to leave Lance Corporal Donaldson to run the video while I go back and rescue Walt and Sarah from some of the guests' questions, he chuckled. He got up and Lance Corporal Mary Donaldson sat down. After the ceremony is when I think it gets interesting. She smiled and pushed the play button. The video showed the groomsmen escort the maid of honor and the maid of honor and the bridesmaids. Mary added narration as who they were. The maid of honor is Dawn Redhawk, Sarah's blood sister and tribal council member and tribal shaman. The best man is Walt's brother, Michael. Next is Danny Rourke or Ahern, Sarah's best friend and sister-in-law. She married Sarah's younger brother, Mick, who is her escort. Next is Jerry. And as you know, Chris Sack Davies. Hang on a minute. I just realized a major mistake. Oh, hang on. I got to bring up a different document here real quick here. Oh, this is the Against the Wind Saga. Against the Wind. Book 2. And we got to wait for it to open up a second here, because I just realized I may have made a boo-boo in one of the two books here. So 31st, get it up there. Yeah, I got to use some more. I got this note. I got to do some work here on it. Or no, this is when I ended it from when I did the review of everything up to here. So now I got to go down past this. They're talking, chit-chatting. Get down to the wedding here. Okay, here's where I got to get to. So I need to enlarge this right here and enlarge this up a little bit. Second pair of Rangers followed first. All the while, we're videoing with Bluetooth cameras. The techs were controlling it. Okay. Okay, I can fix it here. Chris said the text. Yeah. Hang on a second here. I got to put something in here just right to keep it thing. Hang on here. Of course, that. There we go. As he next to WA Walt and Sarah. There we go. Got it fixed. Yeah, because if Chris is in the wedding part, like mentioned before, then he can't be back at the back. So I got to make sure it shows him coming from the front. I mean, from the wedding party up. Okay, so I can close that now, and there we go. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. Chris Sack Davies. All right. As the ceremony concluded, Walt and Sarah looked at each other, and I'll pronounce you. As the ceremony concluded, Walt and Sarah looked at each other, rings on their fingers. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the love of your life, Vice President Matt Mitchell said, with a big smile on his face. Walt picked Sarah up and spun her around while kissing her. The room broke out into cheers. The Venture crew and the Idaho Rangers started making their way to the center aisle between the chairs, rapping the butts of their rifles on the floor twice and chanting, "Woo wah Walt." 2 more raps on the floor. Woo, wah, Sarah. They repeated the chant over and over until they were all lined up on either side of the aisle. Then Captain Sammy Harris shouted, Idaho Rangers, present. And hang on a minute. Yep, I got a mistake here. Boop. 1, 2, 3. One. I hate that the newer version of Microsoft Office thinks it has to automatically change this to the tight version when I want the loose version of the dots up here. And save that. All right, Idaho Rangers present. Hang on, I need to add some more information in here because most people have forgotten. Danny Elmore, copy, P-R-E, President of the VENT Venture Crew, C-R-E-W, comma. President of the Venture Crew shouted, Venture Crew, present. And Sammy and Danny at the same, and Sammy and Danny at the same time said, arms. And need to change this. There we go. Present arms. Both groups raised their Henry rifles over the aisle just like the military does with swords. Walt and Sarah then walked back down the aisle as hang on, I got this. As they passed the first pair of Idaho Rangers, the Rangers would pull their rifles to shoulder arms position, take one step forward, turn and follow Walt and Sarah. The second pair would follow the first pair, and the third, the second pair. The same for the fourth pair. Then the Venture Crew did likewise, following the Rangers. At the back, the camera backed up as Walt and Sarah approached. The angle turned, showing a man next to a big screen TV, and he turned it on, and Walt and Sarah stopped a few feet from it. Mr. President, Walt spoke with a big grin on his face. Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, congratulations. The president said, thank you, Mr. President, they said together. I want to thank you again for accepting the position of Chief Marshal. Walt nodded. Well, it took me a while to come to terms with the fact that it was the next step in being able to protect the county. Thank you for reorganizing the Marshal Service so I could accept the position. In any case, I'm very happy you did, the President smiled. And I want to thank Special Agent in Charge Davies for broadcasting your wedding on WebEOC so all of Congress could watch. And I want you to know that your father's recommendation to Vice President Mitchell has been approved. Walt and Sarah looked confused at the president, then at each other, then back. Towards Chris, then back to the president. Oh, what recommendation was that, sir? The Ninth Circuit Court was all in one of the rehab towns that was flooded out. It was confirmed several days ago that the entire court perished because of it. Your father recommended Dewey Johnson to be the first replacement for the court, and the Senate approved him this morning. You now have a court to bring your cases to. That's my wedding present to you. Thank you, sir. Do you want to inform Dewey personally or should I do it? Is he there? Well, I would like to have a few words with him if you don't mind. Not all, sir. Let me get him for you. Walt said and stepped away. Mr. President, Sarah spoke as soon as Walt was out of earshot. I'm going to accept the offer as a deputy sheriff as well. I told Walt I would have to think on about it, but now that you've appointed Dewey Johnson to the court here, well, I just feel better about accepting it. I'm glad to have you with the marshals. I look forward to your reports and your husband's progress. To reports of you and your husband's progress in restoring law and order to our country. I look forward to the time we will not have to make any reports. But until then, I think you should meet the new breed of law enforcement here in Idaho, the Idaho Rangers. Sarah stepped slightly to the side and gestured to the 8 Rangers behind her. They helped stop the biker gang. They helped stop the biker gang that I'm sure you were briefed on. Yes, I recognize the outfits, the president said, and then addressed the Rangers. Rangers, I would like you to know that we at the federal level very much appreciate your help and your efforts in ridding this country of the trash like that biker gang. In fact, when you have secured Idaho, I will ask Congress to grant the Idaho Rangers federal authority so you may continue to make the West safe and decent for hardworking people. Sorry, I said that wrong. Make the West safe for decent, hardworking people. Yeah. Sammy, step forward. Captain Sammy Harris, Mr. President, on behalf of the Idaho Rangers, I would like to thank you for your vote of confidence. We will strive to live up to it. The president smiled broadly. Captain, my confidence just doubled. Enjoy the festivities. Sammy nodded and stepped back just as Walt walked up with Dewey Johnson. Mr. President, Dewey Johnson, Walt said for an introduction. Mr. Johnson, I'm authorizing Vice President Mitchell to swear you in as the Chief Justice of the Ninth Circuit Court. That is, if you accept the appointment. Dewey's mouth dropped open and worked up and down silently for a couple of seconds. Then he spoke. I am humbled, Mr. President. Of course, I will accept the appointment. Good. As you find surviving good, honest judges and lawyers that you feel will benefit the country as members of the court, please forward their names and information to me for consideration. Of course, Mr. President, Dewey replied. Walt, I've taken enough of your time on your wedding day, and I have other duties to attend to. Congratulations, and we'll talk tomorrow, the president said. Thank you, Mr. President, and have a great day, Walt replied, and the president ended his connection, and Chris turned off the monitor. No, not Chris, Sal. And Sal turned off the monitor. No, they don't know Sal's name. And the man, S-T-A-N-D, standing next to the M-O monitor turned it. I need to change things. It and the camera off. There. All right, there we go. Got that straightened out. And the man standing next to the monitor turned it and the camera off. Walt turned to go out the door and noticed that most of the wedding guests a lot of the wedding guests gathered around, and most were staring at him, Sarah, and Dewey. What? Walt asked the group. No one answered. After several more seconds of silent stares, Walt almost shouted, "What?" Hang on a minute. Let me get that. And actually, I need to make that. That doesn't all need to be capitalized. H-A-T. What? Finally, someone responded. That was the president. And he said all of the Congress was watching your wedding. Chris Davies spoke up. Walt has been meeting with governors, major city mayors, senators, congressional representatives, members of the president's cabinet for almost a year, especially the Secretary of Homeland Security, who he has the private number has Walt on speed dial. Then, as if response to Chris's comment, a phone rang. Everyone looked to the sound. Mark was pulling a sat phone out of his coat pocket and looked at it and said, "Walt, it's William?" "That's the Secretary of Homeland Security." Walt smiled as a few more mouths dropped open. Walt took his sat phone from his dad and answered it. "Yes, Mr. Secretary, what can I do for you today?" Hang on a minute, that's not capitalized. "What can I do for you today?" After several seconds, Walt made a sign gesture, but not the sound. "All right, William," Walt said. Walt, all right. Well, sorry, I get this right. I need to change this up here. Dang it. Didn't say to do the whole thing, you stupid piece of crap. Walt said, and then actually sighed. "But it feels funny saying it. You should see the look my dad's given me." "Let me talk to him," Secretary Daniels said with a chuckle. Walt handed the phone to his father, who took it without batting an eye. "Yes, Mr. Secretary." Hang on a minute. I got to fix this. I really hate the way the Microsoft Office goes rogue on me. 1, 2, 3. And his father who took about batting an eye. "Yes, Mr. Secretary." "Yes. Are you sure? I don't want him to get a swelled head." "Of course, sir. You have a good day too." Mark handed the phone back to Walt. "Okay, William, what's today's news?" Walt asked as he turned and walked quickly towards his office with Sarah hot on his heels and Chris right behind her. Mark turned to address everyone. "Walt and Sarah have an urgent conference call with the Secretary of Homeland Security. They'll be back as soon as they can." Mary stopped the video. "General, that was the conference call you viewed earlier today." I'll brief them later on this evening," General Marquis said. "Very good, sir," Mary said, and then chewed on her lip for a moment. I would like to speak with Captains Jackson and more privately about their upcoming wedding. Mainly Captain Jackson, I presume." Hang on, I want to shift things around here. All right, everybody, let's let them plan a wedding. After everyone else had left, Mary spoke up. "I'm going out on a limb here, but if you would like, I'll ask Matt, Vice President Mitchell, as a favor to me to come with your father, Kathy, and I, and marry you and Michael." Kimberly's mouth dropped open and Michael got bug-eyed. After several seconds, Mary asked, "Are you all right?" Kimberly closed her mouth and blinked. "Yeah, I'm just shocked. Why would you do this for us?" "Because I'm 17 too, and you have held out." She took a breath and cast her eyes down softly. "I didn't." "Oh," Kimberly said quietly, and then added, "He must be quite a guy." It's not Dash's eyes down. Looked up at the monitor in front of her and moved the mouse, and the wedding video came back up on the screen. Mary started scanning through the video, and she stopped at a point where the video stopped at a point later in the video when everybody was standing around talking, eating cake, and drinking something. Then she zoomed in on two people in the background. It was Mary and a cowboy, a for-real cowboy in a button-down bib shirt, brown corduroy pants, a gun belt, cowboy boots, and the biggest off-white cowboy hat with a big front-to-back curve in the brim. "Damn, he's almost as cute as you, Michael," said with a soft chuckle. "Different cute," Michael snickered at Kimberly's reaction. Mary accidentally clicked the play button, and the cowboy cut a big piece of cake on his plate with his fork, stabbed it, and held it out to Mary. Mary opened her mouth to take a small bite when he shoved the whole thing in her mouth. Mary's eyes bulged in surprise as she struggled to chew the cake. Instantly, he moved forward and kissed her. When he pulled back, you could tell that most of the cake wasn't in her mouth anymore. "We are so doing that when we cut our cake," Michael said, and Kimberly playfully swatted him. "So will we if I can get him to propose." Recognizing a touchy subject, Kimberly asked, "When did you meet?" "We met when Sarah and Walt and Sarah. Oh, when we met Walt and Sarah. She invited Jane and I to join the venture crew." Hang on, it wasn't their venture crew, it was the venture crew. "We went to Walt's ranch a couple times with the crew to ride their horses. That was the first time I really noticed William. He was breaking some wild horses. He was amazing." "Girl, you got it bad," Kimberly said. "So what was the first thing he said to you?" "It was on the 22nd, the first time Heaven's Devil showed up. Sarah, Danny, Jerry, Randy, and Kathy stood in the middle of the road, and the venture crew lined up in a V formation on the shoulder of the road. I was on top of a trailer with my sniper rifle. There were 34 of them. Sarah killed 15, I got 2, and William got 4. With the second group, someone gave Sarah two Glock G29 FS pistols with 15-round magazines. I set up my sniper's nest in a barn loft. There were 30 motorcycles in that group. Sarah got 18, I got 1, William got 2. It was a real quick extermination. The third group was the biggest, with over 120 motorcycles, followed by pickups, buses, and trucks. I don't know how many Sarah got. Kathy blew up a bunch with an M321A. William claimed 7. I got 4, maybe more if I got some Quigleys. As we cleared the area, I got 3 more. Mary got a weird smile. What happened? Kimberly asked with a smile. There were 3 in a meth bus near the back of the convoy. Near the back of the convoy. Come on, where's it at? Where's it at? Oh, there it is. Near the back of the convoy. They were unarmed. They were unarmed. Hang on here. I need to do this right. Comma. But we didn't want them to contaminate anybody. So we agreed to kill them in the bus and burn the bus. William hesitated. So I killed them and said to him, think about these these scum as raping your girlfriend in front of you and then slitting her throat for fun. He said he won't hesitate again because he wants a chance to have a girlfriend. I looked at him and said, really? I started to walk away and he asked where I was going. I said to my nest to get my gear. You want to help? He said, sure. And he walked me to my nest in the barn loft. She paused for several seconds. I gave him a quick kiss and he said, quick kisses mean I might be interested later. So I kissed him longer. And we did it 3 times. She blew out a long breath. Yes, I have it bad. She looked at the video. She took the video off share mode. Have you talked about marriage? Yes, he says the time's not right. He has to be able to support me. At least he's talking about it. But I couldn't control myself and wait. Hell, we did it. Hang on. Hell, we did it today in the barn before Walt and Sarah's wedding. You can control yourself, so you deserve to have the vice president perform your wedding. I thank you for that, but don't ask just yet. You see, Michael's adopted mother went and got certified as a minister, so we would have someone to marry us whenever we needed. I don't want to disappoint her if she's counting on being the one who marries us. Let me talk to her first. Okay, let me know what she wants to do, Mary smiled. Is there anything I can get for you? Is your father there? Yes, as are both General Smythes. Michael, go see if General Marquis and Commander Smythe and Houston's are still in the building. Okay, Michael got up, knowing where this was going. I wasn't sure who all was there for the wedding. I didn't notice who was in the audience. But with your dad and Chris, we can give an update rather than waiting until tomorrow. Don't bring Walt and Sarah in on this. Let them enjoy their family time. Bring me in on what? Sarah's voice came as Mary got a slight panicked look. Sarah, Mrs. Walt Rogers, go be a happy bride, Kimberly said. Let others worry about this. Sarah stepped around the desk and looked at the monitor. Her eyes widened with surprise. Captain Kimberly Jackson? Please don't tell my father I'm a Marine, please. I want to surprise him when he gets here for my wedding. Please. Then tell me what I should let others worry about. Commander Smythe's team learned from the Heaven's Devils leaders we captured yesterday. Hang on, I need to rework this. I've looked at this several times, and I still can't get it right. I'm going to try to rewrite this. Give me some spaces here. This is how I redo things sometimes. Up here. Yesterday, we captured several of national. Hang on, let me get this. I'm trying to get it in the right order so it sounds right for you guys. You guys can see what I'm typing and trying to work this out here. Commander, oops, too many. There we go. Commander Smythe's team have been questioning him. Okay, let me bring this up here. Has been questioning them since then, comma, all night and all day today. Period. Okay. They have learned, LEL, learned that there are about 2,000 heavy loads regrouping to Las Vegas and they'll be heading in a week. There we go. Put that up there. Okay. Wrong one. I want delete. There we go. Well, that sounds like a Marine and Air Force problem, so I will keep Walt busy with his family, and I'll not say. Hang on, and I will not say a word to your dad, Captain. Sarah smiled. Hang on, an evil grin. Why do I get the feeling I'm going to pay for that request? Kimberly asked. Sarah just smiled and stepped away. Michael came back in with the officers. Delete. Everyone was still in the building. Okay. Go ahead and get the others on your side. On your side, Mary. Hang on a minute. Your side, Mary. I'll get them. Hang on a minute. Let me highlight this. Yeah. There we go. I'll get them, Sarah called out. Mary flipped the camera view, turning on the wall monitor behind her. Then walked around and started setting up chairs in front of the desk. Soon General Donaldson came in with Generals Kurt and Candace Smythe next. Then Sack Davies and Vice President Matt Mitchell, Senator Karen Mitchell entered and sat down. No one noticed Walt and Sarah slip in off camera, remained standing in the corner. General Marquess spoke up first. Mr. Vice President, I think we should have the female 17-year-old start this off. Matt chuckled. Sounds good to me. Hold on a second, Mary said as she worked the software controls and added her camera to the screen. Okay, where to begin? After showing the wedding video to us in Arizona, Lance Corporal Donaldson asked us to have some private time with Captain Moore and myself. Excuse me, Kimberly, Walt spoke up as he stepped into view. Since this is just between our two locations, I strongly request my house rules. Any objection? General Marquess asked, what are those? Matt spoke up, first names only, no titles. We kind of like it. It keeps us grounded. Sounds good to me, Sampson said and nodded to Kimberly. So Mary, Michael, and I talked about our upcoming wedding, and then talked about some private personal things, which I hereby classify as ultra top secret. Candace Smythe busted out laughing. Gentlemen, don't go there. Anyways, at the end, I asked Mary if her father was still at the wedding, as I didn't see him in the video. I informed her that he was, as was Candace Kurt. My apologies, Karen, for not mentioning you. I'll do 200 push-ups afterwards. Karen struggled to suppress the laughter and waved Mary's push-ups off. I informed Mary that we had an important update. Since everyone was there, we could do it now, but don't bring Walt and Sarah in on this. Let them enjoy their family time. And I happen to come into the room, and I promised not to tell her father that she was a Marine if she told me what she didn't want what Walt and I brought in on, Sarah said. So I informed her, and this is what the briefing is about. Hang on, now I need to fix this to match up above, because this one here didn't sound right either. Okay, let me go back up here. There we go. Control C, bring it down here. Yesterday, okay, and let me come up here and delete. There we go. And now I can eliminate this. Backspace and delete. Come on. There we go. So I need to change this up since they're using first names. Because Nora has to use the first name of Commander Smythe, not her name, because she's in secret and still secret identity mode. Elinore. Eleanor. Nora cleared her throat. 6 of the leaders, 2 of which are national leaders, all say the next batch is coming on the day after your Thanksgiving, 4 weeks away. They've stated the number is about 2,000. About 2,000. They've also confirmed that they are recruiting the hungry and other gang members. However, with the conditions they relayed, I think that number could be up as high as 3,000 in 4 weeks. She held up a finger. We will still keep working on them until we believe they have provided all they know. Even now, the Banshee is rattling their brains and bodies in preparation for the next session. She's working on her second album of the most, hang on, horrifying, blood-curdling, eyeball-melting, bar-jarring acid rock that has ever cursed the ears of humans at insane volumes. To the prisoners while peeing on them. Again, Nora gave a dramatic shiver. I dare say when we continue the questioning, the Doulahan and, that's supposed to be capitalized, the Banshee will have the prisoners begging for us to kill them rather than listening to another second of that god-awful music. Of that bloody, B-L-O-O-D, that bloody god-awful music. The Doulahan, Sarah asked. The Doulahan is the Irish demon from which the legend of the Headless Horseman comes from, Kimberly answered. Oh, okay, so I got a work thing here I just came to here. I have got to meet him, Sarah said. Meet them, Sarah said softly to Walt. Maybe, never mind. So you have 2,000 for sure, and another 1,000 in the next 4 weeks. Explain how you came to that number, Eleanor. Hang on here. I need to read through this because I know I was working on this for the last couple of days, and so what follows after it. So let me look here. Yes. Comma. Nora said, S-A-I-D. Hang on here. E-L-I-N-O-O-R, Eleanor said. All right, now, I know this is kind of hard for you guys. This pink's kind of hard to look at, but give me a second just to go through it quickly. Yeah, I know something else slash news. I don't know if I know what survives over 100. Yeah, my mistake was I forgot to unhighlight this as I got farther down the line. So I need to go here and there we go. Yes, Eleanor, Nora said. Where are we at? 8:36. All right. Yes, Eleanor, Nora said. On October 17th, the Las Vegas flood/monsoon and earthquake occurred. Survivors are desperate for food and water. Heaven's devils have been busy gathering food and water, violently so, according to witnesses and those we have interrogated. Over 100 hungry and thirsty survivors have joined Heaven's devils, and 200 local gang members have joined as well. As people get more and more hungry and thirsty, they are going to do worse and worse things to survive. If Heaven's devils makes them eat flesh, they will tell them that they can never go back because non-gang members will kill them when they find out. This coming week, those numbers should go up at the very least 50 to 100, at least 50% to 150. Hang on, that's where I messed up. At least 50 to 150 50 of of the thirsty survivors and 300 other gang members. Eleanor held up a finger, stopped questions, and took a moment. Next week or two, the number should be about 200 to 300 hungry and thirsty survivors. And I wanted to change this here. And even more from the other gangs. Then the other gang numbers will drop as there's not a large number to draw from. At this point, the number so far is hang on, I'm looking to see if I use that. Okay, is AP proxy. Approximately 850. Now this is where the numbers of the joining start to decrease. Of that 850, a good number should should already be too weak to survive, and 30% will die. Unless Heaven's Devils have collected enough food to nurture them to health, HEAL, back to health. Okay, I think that takes care of it. Health. Of week's 3 recruits, 50% could die in a week. And week's 4 recruits, 60 to 70% will die within a week without extra food. Without extra food. At this point, they should be about 3,500. 3,500. Traveling here, they should lose about 400 to 500 just due to the hardship of the journey. Secondary illnesses could reduce their numbers by another 100 or so. That is both good and bad news, Eleanor, Joseph stated. If they stay another week, diseases will start taking a toll of the existing members and new recruits, especially if their water sources become contaminated. Cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis A, typhoid, and polio will increase exponentially. It was raining again, according to the two national leaders who were in contact with Vegas via sat phones. More rains, more pools of contaminated water, and more death. Hang on. If they smart, ENO, smart enough to collect rain water before it hits the ground, that, hang on, it's the ground, comma, that will stem hang on here, stem the spread of it's of, not of, if, of I hate it when that does that. Spread of of contaminated water diseases. Hang on. Interjected. Yes, and that could mean even more arriving in better, HEAL, in better health. Owner said. And if they come a week early, Joseph asked, that would mean they have recruited quicker than extrapolated, and they would also be able to gather the needed supplies sooner as well. We would be harder pressed to deal with them. Nope, back up. What would you need? Joseph asked, expecting Samson to answer. Kimberly looked back at General Marquess and he gestured for her to continue. Several strikers and or some MCWS units, she said, then added, or a couple Vipers. An AC J130 Ghost Rider, Colonel Smythe suggested. SUGGE suggested. We don't want to destroy the road and food supplies. Just cleared of motorcycles. Samson responded. Or separate and delay, a voice that came from the shadows at the back of the room. Corey, Kimberly exclaimed, you're still here? Never left. Corey stood up and walked forward. Mary got a panicked look on her face. Care to explain, Corey? I call them slap traps. They're a device that operates 5 different ways to deploy caltrops. Remote control, tripwired, motion sensor immediate, motion sensor delayed, and motion sensor counter. We set them up along the highways that the Heaven's Devils will use. Remote control by sniper is probably the best option, with motion sensor counter the second best. How does the motion sensor counter work? Mary asked before anyone else could. The motion sensor signals a timer / counter. We set the timer / counter to, say, 10 vehicles in 30 seconds. If only 9 vehicles pass in 30 seconds, it resets to 0. When the 10th vehicle passes, it launches the caltrops onto the roads. If 40 motorcycles, if it is 40 motorcycles, the result is a pileup and a delay. If it's a bunch of pickups, then you have several pickups with flat tires. And if they're going 65, those flat tires may be blowouts, and 1 or 2 will lose control and wind up in a ditch. More delays. Several in Walt's office started chuckling. And what is your position? Joseph asked. Eleanor spoke up. If he were in a 007 movie, he would be Q. But as it is, he's a specialist in the local militia. Corey hacked into the system here to get us online. He developed a super powerful cattle prod that won't disable or kill a person, but sure makes him wish it would. Michael said. Hey, I like to tinker, Corey responded. How many of your slap traps do you have? 4 prototypes as of last night. But now that they are working, we can knock out 8 a day of the motion sensor counters or motion sensor delay. Twice that number of motion sensor immediate or remote control, and 30 or 40 of the tripwire type. He said with a devious grin. I'm almost afraid to ask what else you've come up with. A variant of a potato gun, or rather a potato mortar, capable of firing a cable with a hook on the end. How old are you? Mary asked. 15. I'll be 16 in December, but I already have a stupid girlfriend. All of the adults struggled to hide their laughter and smirks. Mary opened her mouth to make a retort about having a boyfriend herself, but thought better of it and snapped it shut again. Why is your girlfriend stupid, Candace? Because she took off back to Tempe to try to rescue some of her high school friends by herself. She thought she was as good as Kimberly. There was obviously anger and sadness in his voice, and everybody sobered up. I hope she makes it back to you, Candace said softer. Yeah, but in the meantime, we're going to kill all of the Heaven's Devils we can, Corey said. a dozen MK-47s with lots of M383 high explosive grenades, and lots of airburst as well, Kimberly said, resting her chin on her thumb. Airburst will save the roads. We have quad ETVs and lots of 4x4 pickups, so mounts that we can attach the M42, the MK-47s to them. Corey brainstorm. And 12 tripods in case if we need them, just in case, Michael added. Mary muttered, 12 MK-47s, 24 cases, M3. Okay. 24 cases, high explosive. Hang on a minute. One of these numbers is wrong. Either it's 383 or 384. 385 is the airburst, so I bet this first one is supposed to be 384. Hang on, let me look this up. Give me a second. Let me see what comes up here when I look this up online here. It's it's the 84. The 84 has is high explosive with fletchets in it, so it's like a bunch of little razors going out and shredding people. So it's M80. So it's that. Okay, I got that. Mary muttered that, and I got it. What about 12 cases of M100 M1001 canister fletchets? I owe you a kiss for that one, Kimberly said, and quickly added, my apologies, everyone. I get a bit loose with my joking comments when I'm stressed. Sarah busted out laughing. Kathy and I were doing the same thing when we first faced down the heavens devils. I said, just because you're wearing Walt's hat and duster, don't expect me to kiss you afterwards. And she said, don't worry, I don't want the sheriff mad at me for stealing his girl, Kathy said with a snicker. It's not a problem, Kimberly. I could tell you stories of the stress comments your dad made, Joseph added. Could you, sir? Kimberly said quickly. We'll talk another time. Thank you, sir. If there's anything specific you need, Samson, let us know. I think these out-of-the-box youngins will make things work. I know what you mean, Joseph smiled broadly at Mary. Well, I think we're done until the next briefing if we can get more, or if we can get more out of the prison, lowercase, out of the prisoners. Until then, Joseph said, Mary disconnected the conference call. All right, let me see where we're at here. Let me scroll down here and see 84. Oh, no, we're gonna finish it here right now. The moon looked even bigger than last night, Kimberly said with a sigh. What's wrong, Michael? We were going to get married today until I found out my dad is still alive. I wish he could have come straight here, she sighed again. He's still probably recovering and getting back into shape after 2.5 years being held prisoner by the Taliban. I know. I was just looking. Just looking forward to boinking you under a full moon. I think we need to go inside. Michael said sternly. ST. Did I spell it right? I did. And this needs to be added to the dictionary. I think you're right, Kimberly. Replied as she took his hand and started backing towards the house. As she started back towards the house. Then she glanced over her shoulder. I still say the moon looks really big tonight. All right, there we go. We're at chapter 10. Perfect. Took about a half hour longer than I wanted to get to this point here. So, all right. And we got that there. Let me hit save and let that save. All righty here, folks. Let's see. Oh, well, of all the people that came in that were watching for several minutes, I could watch the number up here in the corner up here go up and then down and up and then down. Other than Howie at Food Forest Permaculture, none of them had the graciousness to say hi. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up here. So today is Tuesday. All right, Tuesday coming up tonight. Before everybody heads out, coming up tonight here on Gray Man Prepping at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. The live stream for Tactical Tuesday. The topic is what 15 types of canned food do you want? Hang on a second. Let me get it right. The exact name over here. Okay. Okay. You can only have 15 types of canned food. What are they? So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And the person came in, turned around and left. Probably another troll getting ready to try to, we're looking for a live stream he can sneak up on to. Yeah, so that's for tonight. Tomorrow, for tomorrow's, actually I'm doing it for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Instead of being at 10 o'clock in the morning, I mean, at 11 o'clock in the morning for us starting. I'm pushing it back till 2 o'clock Eastern time, noon my time. See if we get more people coming in and, listening and commenting and stuff to it. Thursday night, Midnight Ride. This Thursday is City Council meeting. I will be there videoing again. And it may, since they're going to be voting on the increase of the utilities, what percentage. So it may take a little bit longer there. So I know there was some stuff that they did not discuss last month. They'll be discussing this coming month. So I got it set up to start at 10:30 instead of 10 o'clock. And if I'm a little late, just remember, I am coming. As soon as I get here, I will fire it up. I'll try to get everything set up before I go to it and make it quicker to start it. Friday on Camp Patton Family Compound. It is Friday the 13th. Let's do it again. Except this month we're going to talk. We'll probably talk, I don't know, movies or books about Friday the 13th, type stuff, just for laughs and giggles and whatever else comes up. If everybody in the side chat starts talking about one thing, we may go off on that. All right. Saturday, we'll be back at 10 o'clock in the morning for editing the books. Shadow Scout Suite and my live stream will start at 2 o'clock Eastern. Then Survival Saturday will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that is this is a special one. So get it out there, everybody. This one is part of the new series that's going to start in September, but I'm bringing it now because of what's going on with the idiots, with the well, I'm going to say what's being said out there. leftist Democrat trans shooters that are out there. So the topic for Saturday evening is, can you survive an active shooter event? And so it's going to be a training. And if I can, I got to call and see if I get access back to the stuff on the DHS site, since it's now every now and then they kind of like restrict who can access it. But since I helped put it up, hopefully they'll let me have access back to bring up the videos for active shooter training. How to respond. All right. Oh, that's it for now, and I will see you tonight at 8 o'clock for the Tactical Tuesday. All right, everyone. Take care.